Many of you have probably heard of ChatGPT by now. It's able to do so many different things, from writing code, writing essays, answering questions, and so much more through conversations. But what if you wanted to talk to an AI chatbot with friends together? Well, today we'll be building an AI chatbot using GPT-3 that works directly in Discord. And here's what the final result will look like. You can type into a channel and the chatbot will reply. As you can see, it's capable of responding fairly quickly to our replies and fully understands the conversation's context. And now I'll show you how to get this done in about 50 lines or less of code. Let's get right into it. To get started, let's open up a new file folder. I already created one called Chatbot Tutorial, then open up the folder in VS Code. Once it's loaded up, go ahead and go to the terminal, type in npm init-y, which will initialize our directory with a package.json. Go ahead, right click, create a new file, we'll call it index.js, and create another file. Called .env. Also in the terminal, type in npm I discord.js, .env, and OpenAI. These are three different packages which we will be using in the tutorial. Now that the packages are installed, we will create our .env file with the proper environmental variables. We'll have one called OpenAI key and one called bot token. Let's go ahead and grab these values now. First, go to discord.com/developer/applications and see if you have an existing application that you'd like to use. If you don't, go ahead and create a new application and create. Once you've created it, go to the bot tab on the left side and then hit add bot on the right. Once you've created it, you should be able to click on reset token, which will give you access to your bot token. Go ahead and copy that. Once you've copied that token, go down to the bottom here and make sure you have the message content intent turned on. If you don't have this on, your bot will not function, as you will not be able to read the message content in the messages, which is essential to having your bot actually being able to respond properly. Afterwards, be sure to invite your bot to the server that you'd like it to join. Go to URL generator, click on bot, and then click on administrator or whatever other permissions you'd like. Go ahead and copy the URL, paste it in, and have the bot join your server. Make sure to have access to read and write in the channel that you'd like it to talk in. Next, go to openai.com, click on API, then log in. If you don't have an account, go ahead and create one right now. Once you logged in, you should see this screen like this. If you have a new account, if you go to View API keys and look at usage, you should be able to get some free credit here. You see I have $18. If this is not your first time, you may need to go to billing and set that up. Otherwise, go down to API keys here and click on create new secret key. Go ahead and copy that key and paste that into your .env file for the OpenAI key. Go over here, we can paste that in here, and remember to paste your bot token. Once you finish copying them, they should look something like this, and then we can move on to our next step, which is actually coding it up. First, let's define and create the Discord client. So first, let's import in the necessary things that we'll need. We'll be using require from Discord.js, and we also need our secrets from the .env file, so we will import in the .env /config, so this will load it into process.env. Now let's create our client. Do take careful note of the capitalization here. This is capital C here for this client, alright? And we will pass in intents. And for these intents, it's basically what the bot's capable of seeing. Here we will use gateway intents. We will have it see guilds, gateway intents, We will have it see guild messages. Messages. And we will have it see message content. Alright, now that we have this set up, we can create the client and then look for the ready event. So events dot ready, client ready, and then pass in the client user, and we can have it console.log that we are logged in as, and then we can print out the tag of our bot, so client user.user.tag. And lastly, we want to log in, so client.login, and pass in our token, so process.env dot, we called it bot token. Now if we open up a terminal and type in node index.js, you'll see that we have successfully logged in. And go ahead and hit Control-C so we can stop the bot and continue coding. The next step is for us to have the bot actually listening to messages. So create a client.on, and here we will have events.messageCreate, and we will get the message. So now the bot will listen for any messages that are sent in our guild. And for those of you that don't know, guild is equivalent to a server. And here, first thing we'd want to do is make sure that it's not a bot, so message.author.bot, because we don't want the bot to eventually try to talk to itself, right? Because that will form an infinite loop. The other thing is we'd want to specify a specific channel, so I'll create a variable called bot channel, and in here we want to grab the ID of that specific bot channel. So if you go back to our Discord, go ahead and right click, copy ID. And for those of you that don't have that option, you need to go to settings and turn on developer mode. Go back to your VS Code, paste that in, and add another if statement here that says if message.channel.id is not equal to that bot channel, then we will also ignore that message. And if the bot is sent by a user and it's sent in that channel, then we will actually respond. So we can console.log out the contents of the message.content. Now let's open up the terminal again. Let's rerun the bot. Now we're logged in. Let's go back to Discord. Let's type in hello world, hit enter. Once we've sent it, we come back here, you'll see that now the bot is able to listen to our messages. Now let's add the AI component. Going to the playground of OpenAI, which you can navigate to by going to openai.com and /playground, you'll see this text box option. We will be using GPT-3 and completion mode, which if you go to the right hand here, completion right here, it will take the text that we give it and try to predict what words come next and what sentences should come afterwards. We'll provide GPT-3 with a transcript of our conversation, as well as some information about what is going on here, which is a conversation between some people. This text right here that we provide before they answer is called a prompt. This prompt has two components, the first being a definition, where as you see here, we tell it that this is a conversation between these people, which for those of you that don't know, we will have Nico be the name of me and Nico Ni be the name of the bot itself. You can also give it additional context here. For instance, I can tell it that the bot is a very intelligent AI chatbot that likes to brag about how smart it is, and it will try to incorporate that into the conversation itself. Now down below here is our transcript. This will eventually be our Discord conversation and converted into a bunch of new lines as if it was like an ongoing play. And at the end of this, we will have Nico Ni, which is the name of the bot, with a colon, which tells the AI chatbot that it should complete that part of the script. And to make this more complete, as you see, we have each of the conversations on a new line, and we only want it to generate that one line for that one character. So here in stop sequences, we can actually have it add a new line. And so now, whenever the AI chatbot hits a new line, we know that it's going to try to start imitating the other person, and we can have it stop right there. So if I click on submit here, you'll see that the chatbot tries to respond. And when I respond in the chat, we will write code that allows us to take what I write and turn it into something that looks like this. I would like to know the meaning of life. And then we will have it do this, and then we will make another API request to GPT-3, and it will autocomplete again, and so on and so forth. Now let's go ahead and implement this logic into our bot. Now back to the code, we can implement our actual calls and link it up with GPT-3. So first, let us import in OpenAI API and configuration from the OpenAI package. This we will also have to create a client for. So first, let's give it a configuration, and here we'll give it the OpenAI key. So OpenAI key, and we will pull it from process.env.openai_key, and I need to make sure that this is capitalized correctly. And then we can pass this into OpenAI equals new OpenAI API, passing in the config, and there you go. Alright, now within our client.on message create here, we will actually implement the logic for it to respond to these messages. So let's delete that line. First thing we'll want to have is the typing. So message.channel.send typing. This will allow the bot to display the text Nico Nico Ni is typing. Now let's grab all the message context that we need. Given that we don't want to grab everything in the channel, we may want to specify a number of messages to look at beforehand in the conversation. So for this, we will define a new variable called const past messages, and we'll just fetch the last 5 messages. So let's make a messages, and right here we need to add an async, because this next call here will be fetching messages, and this call is an asynchronous call, which we have to wait for Discord to actually give us the results of the messages, and this takes time. So await message.channel.messages.fetch, and we'll limit it to the past messages, and we will get everything that came before the current messages ID. Alright, now we have these messages. I'm going to do a little bit of modification here. So Discord actually returns this in a collection. It's a little bit hard for us to use, so we're actually going to create this. We're actually going to convert this to an array. So I'll surround this with array.from. So now it converts it to a different data type. So we will have it do messages equal messages.map, and also this array will convert it to an interesting data structure where we have the message ID and then the actual message content. If you can't follow what's going on here, don't worry. It's a little bit hard to understand, but since we want to grab that, we will use this map function, which formats it properly the way we want. Now let's add the message itself to the beginning of this messages array by using unshift. So this just adds to the beginning of the array. And next we will get all the different users, the name of all the users that are involved in this transcript, so we can give it that text at the beginning. The following is a conversation between, and then list the users there. So here we want to prevent any duplicates, so we're going to be using a set. For those of you that don't know, a set is a type of data type that allows only unique values. So here we will have the messages, and we will take every single message, and we will grab the member's display name, and the display name is essentially either the user's nickname if one exists for them in that server, or their actual username. And we also want to give it the name of the client as well. There we go. And I will add one more bracket there, and there we go. In order to form my prompt correctly and use proper grammar, we're going to add and before the last user. And to do that, we need to actually grab the last user first. So let's get last user equals users.pop, which gets the last user. And here we can start constructing our actual prompt. So our prompt will be the following is a conversation between, and right here we can have the different users. I'm going to need to do user.join. What this does is puts each of the user names, user, comma, space, all the way until we finish going through the entire array, and the last user. Next, we will actually iterate through the messages, actually generating that transcript that you saw earlier. But there's one specific thing that we have to worry about here, which is this fetch command actually gives us the messages in reverse chronological order, which means that at the front of the array is actually messages that were more current, and it goes backwards in time. So messages that are later in the array are actually from before. So we want to actually reverse that order. So we'll be iterating through this messages in reverse order. So let I equal the messages dot length -1, and we'll go until it is greater than 0, and then we will get the actual messages, and we want to add to the prompt the username. So we have m.member.displayName : and then we have the actual message that they sent it themselves. So we have m.content. So this is the message content itself. And finally at the end we have a new line. Now for this prompt, we will end it up with the final m.member. Let's actually add this member.displayName. Sorry, we want to have it end in the bots. So we have client.user.username : and we want it to actually respond to the prompt, and you don't want to have that space there actually. And so we can actually print this out, so you can look at what the prompt looks like. And then in here, we want to actually make our call to OpenAI. So let's create const response. So this is going to store the response to our call to OpenAI. Let's do await OpenAI dot create completion. So as I mentioned earlier, we're using the completion aspect of it. Let's pass it in our prompt. We will use the model called text-davinci-003. Make sure you spell this correct. And we have max tokens, which you don't have to worry about, but basically it can restrict the length of the reply. I'm going to set it to something really big, so that way we can make sure the bot actually replies in full. And finally, we will have our stop token, which is a new line. And now for our response, you can go ahead and print out the response if you'd like in your console, which the actual text response will be response.data.choices 0.text, and we can also respond with that. So wait message.channel.send, and I will just copy paste this. Now let's go ahead and try it out. So type in node index.js, hit enter, see it log in, and let's hop on over to Discord. Once you're in the right channel, we can go ahead and start talking with our bot. And as you can see, the bot is able to form a pretty interesting conversation with you. And I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, or if you enjoyed it, please leave a like down below, subscribe for more. And if you have other suggestions or recommendations for tutorials you'd like to see, please leave them down in the comment section below. And with that, let's end off this video, and I'll see you in the next one.